Hey guys, welcome back to another video today, and wherever you are, it's either good morning or good evening. It's just gone past midnight here, I think, so technically it is Monday here in Japan. So maybe you're just enjoying your Sundays now, yeah? Depending where you are. Okay, so carrying on with Grom, so carrying on from last night. Or, well, yesterday morning, wasn't it? I've just got some colours, I've already got some paint on my palette just before time, so just to save having to do all that. So I've just got some heavy dark green there on the palette and some park green to do that part of the section of the armour there. Just giving another coat of the dark green. I hope this time the camera is more focused in on the miniature. So thanks Diego for raising that in the comments from the last video. Just taking some of that beige, and I just want to touch up his skin tone as well. I need to do some more work on that skin tone, I think. So what I might do at the same time, take some of that Sherwood green and just chuck that on the palette as well. So I'll need some of that for his flesh there. I like to mix that with the heavy green. Just parts in the recesses there I wasn't really happy with. So I'm just sort of blending through between the Sherwood and heavy green. Try to get more of a balance there. And then coming in with the beige mixed in. Sort of just lightly feathering over the top lip there. Because with the magnifying glasses that I'm using, you can see things so much more clearly that it's good that you want to, you can look for all the different mismatches or imperfections in the blends and that kind of thing. It's really helpful for that, because yeah, if you look at miniatures that haven't been painted when using the magnifying lenses, yeah, you can see quite a difference, and it's quite startling actually how many corrections you can find or how many mistakes you need to correct and that kind of thing. So Dan asked me before, he asked me again about the Rackham miniatures, and I thought that's a good topic to talk about, even though it's not really related to Warhammer or the Old World or Hero Hammer in any way. But it is quite relevant because for those who aren't really familiar with the Confrontation line of miniatures that were released probably in the early 2000s, really late 90s possibly, but I think the company was formed in early 2000s, I think, maybe 2002, somewhere around there. Anyhow, much like Games Workshop, they had, Games Workshop, I'm talking about Games Workshop back in when 3rd edition Warhammer was around. They sort of, the company attracted like the best talents within England or the UK, in terms of illustrators, designers, painters, game designers, and all that kind of thing. And I think Rackham just had that same This is at the same time where they had just the right amount of people, just the right sort of talents, just at that right time, and they went on to produce some of the most, incredibly detailed miniatures, fantasy miniatures that I think anybody had ever made. So. And they had a rule system that came in a little booklet that came with the miniatures when you bought it. When you bought the miniatures in the blister, there was like a main rule set, and there was rules for various different things. I think there was about 5 different rule books. So when you collected the miniatures, you would get a random booklet with it. And I think that was like for first and second edition of the game. That's called Confrontation, by the way. And it was a skirmish-based game, and they had various different factions from light and darkness, and there's a few other different ones as well. And it was like a little boutique kind of line of miniatures that people either bought to play the game or just to collect. To collect and paint. And I think the company just grew in popularity as more and more people became aware of them. And in Australia, there was one stockist in Sydney that carried them. Otherwise, you'd have to order them directly from out of France, which I did on several occasions. And I think one of my local game stores eventually started stocking them. Had a big range of them. So I amassed quite a large collection of the miniatures. I painted a lot of them. They had a very unique painting style that was really very quite different from what we typically regard as like miniature painting. So they had really advanced and really way out there kind of approach to designing miniatures and painting them. And that, and it resulted, unfortunately, in their demise because they wanted to go the same route as Games Workshop and have their own stores, independent stores, and they had their own paint range. And I think they put the company on, they floated on the stock market, and it just went all belly up basically in the end, and they lost everything. Apart from that as well, they had these beautiful metal miniatures. And then the CEO decided he wanted to go all plastic. And not only plastic, but pre-painted plastic. So it put a lot of people off. And the quality wasn't very good at all. And they lost a lot of customers that way. And sadly, it just had a really sad end. But I think they influenced a lot of people, especially Games Workshop too, because a lot of the later Wood Elf miniatures, probably for 7th edition, around about there, or late 6th edition or something, when they basically redid all the Wood Elves, you can see a lot of design influences in the Wood Elves from Confrontation. And a lot of other companies did the same thing. They took their very dynamic looking designs and try to emulate that with their own ranges. So some of the guys, they had some of the guys who work for them are still around, like the painters. I know they're still working for different companies, and a lot of the miniature designers went on to work for, not directly through Simon, but the other company that did all the miniatures for things like Zombicide and all that. A lot of figure designers work for them now. So Dan, so I encourage you to look them up on the internet. Look up Confrontation or Rackham Miniatures or something like that, and you'll see a ton of those pop up in your Google search. I've just got my dwarves and my goblins from that range now, and I sold everything else. Never really played it, only a few times. It wasn't really so popular in my sort of gaming group. It was more like a boutique thing that people just bought them just to paint the miniatures, really. I think it was really for like you know, the hardcore painters, like people who go to competitions and that kind of thing would take those miniatures because they were like the best of the best. In terms of like 28mm models, they were like, you know, really highly detailed and perfectly suited for guys who wanted, or men and women who wanted to compete in painting competitions. So you'd see a lot of confrontation miniatures in that kind of field. But I've seen them used for chaos armies because a lot of the miniatures were like really nicely suited for like beastman armies, because you had like Keltos factions. You had like what we call droons, which had like minotaurs and that kind of thing in it. And yeah, a lot of people like used to proxy them for chaos miniatures in their chaos armies. Just trying to neaten up the bone parts now. And I think I'll have to change brushes soon because I think that the tip on this brush is just about gone. But it has lasted me quite a while. Trying to think what else. What other questions do people have? Just trying to think. I think that was one that Dan had for me, but I forgot to answer previously. So hopefully that sort of gives you a bit more of an insight into confrontation and Rackham, Dan. So yeah, just go and check him up online, mate, and you'll see a whole heap of stuff for him. Yeah, sadly the company's been trying to bend that, like other companies have bought the rights, the IP to their imagery and their game and miniatures and that kind of thing, but it's just been dragged through the mud so many times that even now the latest Kickstarter from another company, another French company that bought the license, yeah, that looks like it's going to go south again. So sadly it's just been cursed, I think. Ever since they went down, it's a real shame. If they just kept doing what they were doing and they just kept small and just producing miniatures for their game, they would have just been. They still would have been around, I think. But yeah, still got a lot of their. I'm still collecting their dwarves and goblin miniatures because they were just fantastic, and I just can't part with them. And still got some painted and some still unpainted, and I'll get around to doing a lot of those one day. But yeah, there's too many Hero Hammer stuff that I want to get into. Talking about that, I did prime up a couple of models that are going to come and be featured in the channel soon. So I want to do like the Orc skin tutorial again, so I've just got this Orc Bad Moon Knob Boss. Now there's only a little bit of skin, he's only got his face and like a couple of his, I think his knees are exposed there. But at least we can do like a face of this guy. And he's such a great looking character that I just wanted to do another Space Orc to keep that running along and keep my collection growing. So I've got that to feature at some point, and I've got a High Elf Spearman because I really wanted to do some non-metallic metals and just paint one of these really gorgeous metal High Elf Spearman that Jez Goodman designed back in the day. And I recently got these from my mate Georg in Austria in a trade deal. So yeah, I look forward to painting this guy up because I really liked. I've never seen the metal spearmint, but now that I have them, I want more and more of them because I reckon they're just absolutely fantastic, so really highly detailed. The plastic ones are really nice too, but the metal ones are really, really good. All right, now, so we highlighted the green a bit. We've done the bone parts to a fairly satisfactory state, so I just want to go over that earring with that gold brown and touch of that beige on there, just to highlight it up a bit. Now I think Mike's had like a scar running across his top lip there, so I'll probably do that at the end. I'd say I want to get all the other stuff done first and leave all the super fine details till last. Yeah, so it's a shame that this model doesn't have those those missing spikes on his armor. I was really disappointed when I noticed that today, but I should have checked. Maybe the guy who bought it off, he bought it off someone else who'd already cut them off before him, so you never know, eh? Just tightening up the red armor again. Just balancing out any parts that I need to sharpen up a little bit. Okay, we've got that gold on his scabbard. I might do that little plate under here in gold too. So just give that a base for now. Let that dry. I do need a darker brown as well to like complement that. So I'll use some, what's this, German Cam medium brown. Just to give it like a darker base to it. Do a 50-50 mix, and I'll do that pummel, the sword pummel here. Sword butt, or whatever you want to call it. Let's go in some more heavy gold brown just to start adding those highlights on there. It's been another nice day here, nice and warm and sunny. So I went for another nice bit of jog down in the park with the boy with his soccer ball, which was good. And yeah, I think being at home just makes me forget about the whole situation at the moment, because at work I'd always be reminded by it. But yeah, being sort of in self-isolation, it sort of makes you forget that we're in this state at the moment. So I'm just sort of blending through the colours there. I was going to go to that other part here under this elbow. And if you remember Jun, he's the guy who I did the tutorial in the yellow. Yeah, he finally got back to me today in a message on Messenger to say that he had seen the video, and it I think it did sort of give him some ideas, or maybe help him out a little bit when he gets to start painting yellow on models. And he has tried to start painting his Rogue Trader orcs now, and yeah, you know, he's getting some good results. For someone who hasn't painted for like 15 years, I know that can be quite a daunting task, you know, like be coming back after such a long time out of the hobby and, you know, wanting to get back into it. And I think, you know, he was just feeling a little bit let down with his results, but you know, I told him that if he just keep going, it'll eventually, you know, progress and get better and better. You just need practice. If you've been out of it for like 15 years, you know, it's definitely not going to be your results are definitely not going to be you know, what you desire straight off. You know, you need to really, it's like anything, you just need to continually practice at it. So, well, he's got enough figures, I think, to keep him busy for a while. So yeah, it'd be good to see those orcs finish at some point. And I did finish my rock lobber last night, really early in the morning. I say last night, but it was after I did this video yesterday morning. And yeah, I posted up on my Twitter account, and I was surprised to see a comment there from Gary Chalk. If you don't know Gary was an artist working for GW way back for a lot of the Warhammer roleplay books and Warhammer 3rd edition and all the supplements around that time. So he was quite prolific back then. So it was really nice to get a comment out of him about my rock lobber. He also did a lot of work, talking about Rackham, he also did a lot of work for Rackham when they released their roleplay game, Cadwellon, and he did all the illustrations because when I saw it, I thought, wow, these illustrations look exactly like the ones that were in the Warhammer roleplay book, the 1st edition, and you know, very similar art style. And then I realised when I looked at the credits, oh wow, it's Gary's work. So yeah, he did some really outstanding. He's got a very unique style, and it adds an awful lot of character to the setting and the world that and it really made Warhammer roleplay. And a lot of 3rd edition sort of stuff, a lot of illustrations. It really, you know, brought it to life. Maybe he did a lot of work for fighting fantasy books and that kind of thing. I've got a feeling as well. So it's working from dark to light, so using that cam brown as like a shade in the recesses there, and just adding some of that beige into the heavy brown as a highlight. And I was looking at my Black Orcs yesterday and it's like contemplating what I was going to do with the shields, because the shields is one of the things I wanted to change with them. Now I'm doing sort of the repainting on them and rebasing on them. And originally I did a really poor job at trying to sculpt some large size noses on the shield faces, like the ones that Kev Adams did. And I've got I found a photo online that was recently posted up with his war machines that he had designed back in the day at Games Workshop for Citadel miniatures, and he painted them as well, and he did all the scenic bases and really amazing work. And he did when he put the shields on the face of the war machine, he also sculpted these large elongated noses, which is really quite unique and different, but it gave it like a unique look, and I think everybody wanted to try to emulate that look with their own war machines and that kind of thing. And I tried to do that with those shields, but it just didn't work, and it just looked awful. So I just took them all off, ripped off all the noses, puttied up all the holes on the shields, and now I'm sort of deciding what to do, where to go through, what to do next. So I had a couple options. One was to order the shields from Warmongers at Foundry, which are designed by Kev and have all these really awesome looking orc faces on them, or to just persevere and just start again, not do the noses on them and just paint the shields in a very sort of simplistic design, maybe like yellow as a base. Like these are the shields I'm working on. So yeah, there's like the old ones were like that. And after I clean up all the putty on there, paint them yellow and just do some black flames or something on them, something really simple, and that will look quite striking and effective with their uniforms that I'm using now. Yeah, so we'll just see how we go with that. I'll do a bit more work on those after, but and just as a quick update on what I'm working on now, this is the Azeg the Slaughterer, or the Shaman on Wyvern from the Marauder miniatures that I originally had, but then I asked Kev to modify it and change it and give it his own personal touch to it. So he gave it a new face. He put a crown, like Crown of Sorcery, on him. He put this awesome faceplate here in the chest, and did the design up here as well for like the voodoo doll. And I've just started repainting it. I've started working on it today, so fairly happy with it. There's still a lot more work to do on it. I want to make it like as good as I can get it to be, and as I sort of rush the first one. So yeah, it's an old miniature. It's got some really old details, and I think it was sculpted by or designed by Ali Morrison back in the day. But yeah, I'm gonna have fun with that. Just trying to get it up to scratch and to a point where I'm really happy with it, and yeah, go from there. I've just got some ink on the palette now, and yeah, with that I'm just gonna use that as like a glaze for that brown armor. You can see it there. And just sort of run it over the areas where it's going to be sort of the shade will be most prominent on that part of the model. So generally on the underside of it. And when that's dry, we can add just a final highlight at the end. Right, now let's get into the blacks. So I'm just going to put some black here. We'll highlight it with this Caspian blue. Let's add some blue into it as well. Yeah, because this part of the hilt's all in that colour. I think that's red, like a red evil sun's face. Just be careful not to nick any of that bone. Just going to go over those little studs there. Rightio, to highlight it, now we're at that stage, I'm going to put some of that French Mirage Blue. Might be just a bit too wet at the moment, so just see, yeah, it's too wet I think. So I'll just let that go for a bit. Or the paint's just too runny, maybe just too thinned out. Because I want to put the new palette, the new palette sheet or the new hydration sheet on there in the palette. It's going to be quite wet still, like quite, it's going to build up a lot of moisture. Just adding some really sort of just simple highlights there. Just around the top of the brace. Like so, we'll finish that up in a minute. Yeah, I sort of wanted to make more progress in this video so you can almost see it finished, if possible. So I'm just adding some more of that, that lighter blue-grey in there. Okay, doesn't look too bad. The details are pretty rough now, so you sort of got to try to make or try to paint in the details or to shape it in a way that because the skulls are quite rough. Right, now I'm just going to use some of that beige to paint just a base layer on that sun part. Now this is all going to be like in flames, aren't they? So do it in the same colour. Yeah, but I'm missing playing Warhammer now, or missing our sort of local, once a month meetup down the store. I can't remember the last time we actually had a game now, so... And what we actually played last time. Actually, I think we just played Song of Ice and Fire last time we went to the store, actually. I don't think we actually played Warhammer because we weren't ready. We were trying to get our Skaven and Empire stuff done and just didn't get enough time to finish it. And actually, it's still not finished. So it's going to take some more time to get that done, but I'm just using some of that Mirage Blue to highlight that black down here. But yeah, I would like to, get our game back on again as soon as possible. Yeah, not only for the channel to make videos, but just to get some, just to play and have some fun. Now, there's some checkers, like check freehand down there. So that blue, grey and some white, I'm just going to mix that together. That's going to be quite tricky, so I think we might start here. You're like really small. And you're sort of just drawing in the shape as you go. As neat as you can. And the smaller the better, because the smaller it just makes them look makes it look better, I suppose. But if you do them too big, it sort of loses that sort of checkered look and effect to it. Oh, I think that looks bloody awful, but we're going to have to just do something with it, because that's what it's painted like in the studio version. So we just got to work with it and try to shape it, and I'm going to make it a little bit more messy and have to go back with the black and try to correct it. Yeah, so now it doesn't look like much, but with a bit of black, let's see what we can do. So basically just doing it the opposite way and just making black little squares. Just making straight lines basically. And trying to keep each one a very similar size if possible. But it's really fiddly to do, it's really difficult, especially in this scale, this size. On a banner it's a bit easier because you've got so much larger space to work with. I'm still not overly happy with that. But yeah, orcs do look great with those checkers, black and white checkers on them. Check pattern does really suit them. And if you can pull it off, yeah, it does really make a really nice effect. It just gives it that overall orky looking feeling. It's not great, but I think that's about as good as it's going to get, really. Right, now I'm going to add some Mirage Blue in that blue-grey, and I'm just going to paint on those little studs on the faceplate there. First of all, and then just grab some of that black. Just dot in the eyes and that large tooth there, and just make sure everything looks nice and neat. Like so. Now what is this? Okay, that looks like a gemstone there that he's got there. Yeah, what colour is that going to be? Green, maybe? Well, I'll highlight it out in beige for now. I didn't know what that was before, but now I realise what it is. Yeah, maybe green, because everything else is red and blue there already. So I'm just going to take some white. I'm just going to tidy up here in the skulls. Okay, now this big tooth. There's a little tooth here. And there's some beige on that pupil of his eye there. Eyeball. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm just going to wash it on a brush. It's always good to wash it out just anyway, even if you're using one colour and not changing. It's just nice to have just some water on the bristles there if it dries out a little bit. Now it's good because I don't have any air conditioning on. This is a nice climate, so it's not drying out the paint all that often, so that's really good. Yeah, it's a bit of a pain when you have to use air conditioning in the summer and in the winter, because it dries out the palette so quickly. Even though it's a wet palette, it dries it out really quick. Just using that beige to go through and just highlight and define any parts of that faceplate. Let's go with some red there and mix it up with the beige. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Should have washed it out before. What did I do that for? Okay, now. So I can see already this is going to take another video to do to finish him. That's okay. To finish this part of it anyway. Yeah, I'm still contemplating whether to do the banner for him now, actually, now that he's not the... Now he doesn't have those... He's got those missing pieces on him. Now I'm sort of contemplating whether to wait until I can get another version of him with the correct one without any modifications to him, and then repaint it and do like a banner for it, and maybe trade this one for it or something like that maybe. See how we go. But yeah, I would like to make the banner for him, so yeah, I just felt a bit disheartened because I realised, oh no, like he's missing bits now. And I don't know why I just didn't notice it. Yellow with the beige, and then yeah, just try to paint over that. So, if you do like taking Gorfang Rotgut in your battles, what kind of weapons do you like to arm him with? Because I think in the army book, I think you just pay 90 points and he's not actually given any, there's no actual magic items specifically for him. You just customize him how you like. So, yeah, please let me know in the comments below what are your sort of favourite magic items you like to kit him out with? Just adding some of that yellow and beige there. It's pretty squashed up face, really. So doesn't have to be super neat. Just pick out the big teeth. Yeah. Just do a line in around there. Separate those two. So yeah, the armor's going to have to wait until tomorrow. Yeah, I think time-wise we're just not going to get it done today. And that red's all mucked up now because the black was all watered down, so too water and just ran all over the red, so I need to fix all that up. So I might do that prior to recording next time. But he's slowly taking shape. Slowly but surely, he's coming together. He's looking more like Rotgut now. What do you guys think? Yep, some of that bleached bone. Just picking out the teeth. And touch of that orange. Just gonna water down a little bit more. Just tint that bottom part of the yellow there. Yeah, if you do have bits that run off, like especially like washes and that kind of thing, just go in with a dry brush, just wash off the excess paint and just dab it in there and it should lift straight out. Yeah, I need to fix that up a little bit more. And I need to do his boots as well, but yeah, I think it's slowly getting there, guys, slowly. You know, just trying to refine the highlights and shading and define the details on him. But yep, I hope you're enjoying the progress we're making so far. And in the next one, I hope to finish it. I think we can do it in the next one. Now there is some kind of freehand that Mike did on here. He used a transfer. I noticed he used a transfer like a skull. I'm going to try to do that in freehand. So that's going to be exciting. So see if I can actually pull that off. It shouldn't be too hard, but yeah, we'll see how we go. Yeah, hopefully you can do that in the next video too. Alright guys, so thank you very much for joining me again. I hope that was fun for you. I hope you've been painting along with me. That's the aim of it, to have a bit of a hangout, paint together and discuss ideas and that kind of thing. So as always, I encourage you to leave some questions below or comments. Give some food for thought for me for the next video so we can talk about something together. About the game or about miniature painting, about anything really. So whatever you want to talk about. Alright guys, so take it easy and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.